It's Friday, the 29th of August. Welcome to the PDB Afternoon Bulletin. I'm Mike Baker, your eyes and ears on the world stage. And congratulations, we've almost made it to the end of another month. All right, let's get briefed. First up, Israel is taking the gloves off with the Iranian-backed Houthis unleashing targeted airstrikes on Thursday aimed at eliminating the military and political leadership of the Yemen-based terror group. We'll have the details. Later in the show, the Trump administration has approved the sale of thousands of long-range cruise missiles to Ukraine through NATO partners, marking the first major arms sale of new weapons to the war-torn country since President Trump returned to office. But first, today's afternoon spotlight. The Houthi terrorists of Yemen may soon suffer the same fate as their military backers in Iran and Hezbollah in Lebanon, as Israel makes a play to decapitate the group's top brass. On Thursday, the Israeli Air Force carried out targeted strikes aimed at wiping out the military and political leadership of the Yemen-based terror group in what has been described by officials in Jerusalem as their most dramatic operation in that country yet. One strike on an apartment building reportedly killed Houthi Prime Minister Ahmed al-Rahawi, along with several of his compatriots, though Israeli officials are still awaiting formal confirmation of those results. A separate strike on Thursday was said to have targeted 10 senior Houthi ministers as they gathered in a location outside of the capital to hear a speech by the group's leader, Abdul Malik al-Houthi, according to a report from the Times of Israel. On Friday, IDF leaders confirmed they were targeting the Houthi defense minister and chief of staff. While they are also still waiting for official confirmation of their deaths, it appears that both strikes were a success. IDF sources told Israel's Channel 13 on Friday that, quote, the direction of the assessments is positive. The assessment that the entire military and governmental elite of the Houthis was eliminated in the attack is growing. While details are still pouring in, it appears the Israeli military employed a bit of subterfuge to successfully execute their attack on Houthi leadership. IDF sources told the Jerusalem Post that they lulled the Houthis into a false sense of security, tricking the group into thinking Jerusalem lacked credible intelligence on the locations of their most senior officials. Meanwhile, Israeli intelligence provided real-time details of the movements of the Houthi leaders to the IDF, which enabled these strikes to be carried out despite the presence of heavy air defenses in the area. Israeli intelligence also monitored al-Houthi's speech, looking for any signs that he realized senior officials were being targeted, and said there was no indication that the terror leader knew what was unfolding. It's hard to overstate the significance of these strikes. Previous Israeli operations in Yemen have focused on Houthi infrastructure and weapons depots, but have failed to halt the group's relentless drone and missile attacks on Israel. But now, leaders in Jerusalem are going for the jugular, so to speak, attempting to throw the group into disarray. The death of the Houthi defense minister, if confirmed, would be particularly consequential. He's served in that role since 2016 and developed a close working relationship with Hezbollah in Lebanon, and more importantly for them, with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, providing a critical link to the group's paymasters. He was considered the most senior official in the organization's military establishment and oversaw their attacks against Israel. The plans were reportedly a long time in the making. An unnamed senior official said Thursday that Israel was ready to target Houthi leaders on Sunday when they carried out a series of strikes in Yemen's capital that killed 6 people, but ultimately decided to wait as intelligence shifted. Israel has not officially commented on the results of Thursday's strikes, but Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz put out a statement saying, quote, as we warned the Houthis in Yemen, after the plague of darkness comes the plague of death. Whoever raises a hand against Israel, their hand will be cut off, end quote. Israel's fight against the Houthis has been raging for nearly 22 months, but leaders in Jerusalem have largely prioritized other Iranian proxies closer to home. Destroying Hamas in Gaza has been Israel's primary objective since the brutal 7 October attacks, and the terror group is now a shell of its former self. Israel also turned their sights on Hezbollah in Lebanon late last summer, killing most of their senior leadership over the course of just 1 month, including longtime figurehead Hassan Nasrallah. That campaign, which included Israel's covert pager attack, left the group in tatters, neutralizing a key proxy for Iran. And of course, back in June, Israel came for the Iranian regime itself, taking out much of their top military brass during the 12-day war. But now, well, it appears to be the Houthis' time. As a reminder, since the 7th of October 2023 attacks, the Houthis have mixed attacks on Israel with assaults on global shipping lanes, describing their operations as a show of solidarity with Palestinians. Their attacks on commercial vessels have killed 8 sailors and sunk at least 4 ships and disrupted global shipping and supply chains. In early May, following an intense bombing campaign in Yemen by the U.S., President Trump announced a ceasefire agreement with the militants, under which the group pledged to stop targeting American maritime assets in the Red Sea. But the deal did not include protections for Israel, and the Houthis have continued targeting the Jewish state and any ships doing business with Israel with missile and drone attacks. All right. Up next, the Trump administration approves the sale of thousands of long-range cruise missiles to Ukraine through NATO partners. I'll be right back. This podcast is brought to you in part by Stash. Now, imagine investing without ever picking a single stock. Well, with Stash, the experts handle the hard part for you. Now, Stash isn't just another investing app. It's a registered investment advisor that combines automated investing with expert guidance, so you don't have to worry about figuring it out on your own. Choose from personalized investments, or let Stash's award-winning Smart Portfolio do the work for you. With Stash, investing doesn't feel like gambling. It's simple, it's smart, and stress-free, so your money can finally start working as hard as you do. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Now get access to world-class financial advice with personalized guidance just for $3 per monthly subscription. That's right, $3 a month. Imagine that. Stash has already helped millions of Americans reach their financial goals, so don't let your money sit around. Put it to work with Stash. Go to get.stash.com/PDB to see how you can receive $25 towards your first stock purchase and to view important disclosures. That's get.stash.com/PDB. Paid non-client endorsement, not representative of all clients and not a guarantee. Investment advisory services offered by Stash Investments, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk. Offer is subject to terms and conditions. Welcome back to the Afternoon Bulletin. A little over a month after President Trump struck a new weapons pact with NATO allies, critical American munitions are now officially flowing to Ukraine. On Thursday, the Trump administration approved an $825 million arms sale to Ukraine, funded by Denmark, the Netherlands, and Norway. The package includes roughly 3,500 extended-range cruise missiles, as well as 3,350 advanced GPS navigation kits. While the White House has previously approved a number of sales of military equipment and missile defenses for Ukraine, this marks the first major sale of offensive weapons to the war-torn country since President Trump returned to office, according to a report from the New York Times. It's also the first official weapons purchase by European countries on behalf of Ukraine since Trump struck the arms pact with NATO leaders back in July. As a reminder, that arrangement involves European allies either sending advanced American weaponry to Ukraine from their own stocks while purchasing replacements from America's military industry, or directly purchasing new U.S. weapons for immediate transfer to Ukraine. In a statement, the U.S. State Department said, quote, Ukraine will use funding from Denmark, the Netherlands, Norway, and foreign military financing from the U.S. for this purchase. This proposed sale will support the foreign policy and national security objectives of the U.S., by improving the security of a partner country that is a force for political stability and economic progress in Europe, end quote. The State Department said they notified Congress of the sale on Thursday, and Congress is expected to give their official sign-off on the deal shortly. If everything goes as planned, the missiles will start arriving on the battlefields late this fall. The missiles, also known as Extended Range Attack Munitions, or ERAMs, because, of course, there's an acronym, will provide Kyiv with a potent tool against Russia as the Kremlin escalates their attacks on Ukrainian cities. The missiles can be fired from F-16 fighter jets that Denmark, the Netherlands, and Norway are also transferring to Ukraine, and have a range of between 150 and 280 miles. That's similar to the range of the Storm Shadow and Scalp missiles that Ukraine has used to hit targets in Crimea and western Russia. But there's no word yet on whether the U.S. will place restrictions on their use, like the Biden administration previously did with long-range missiles. A defense analyst at the European Council on Foreign Relations said the sale might not be a game changer for Ukraine's Air Force, but will, quote, signal that there's a productive conversation between Europeans and the Trump administration in terms of future supply of modern equipment to Ukraine, end quote. If Vladimir Putin continues to resist diplomatic efforts to negotiate a peaceful settlement to the war, it appears that the Trump administration is prepared to significantly scale up arms sales. During President Trump's meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky just last week, the pair reportedly discussed increasing the flow, with European allies committing to purchasing an additional $90 billion, that's with a B, worth of munitions. The sale comes as Ukraine faces heavy bombardments from Russia on a near-daily basis. As we discussed earlier on the PDB, on Thursday morning, Moscow's forces unleashed their second-largest aerial attack on Kyiv since the war began, killing at least 23 civilians and wounding at least 50 others. It marked a sharp escalation from previous aerial attacks, as the strikes also damaged offices belonging to the European Union and the UK's British Council. Despite the Trump administration's efforts to broker a peace, it does not appear that the Kremlin has any plans to slow the pace of their bombardments. Zelensky said the strikes show what the Kremlin really thinks about Western diplomatic efforts to end the war, stating, quote, Russia chooses ballistics instead of the negotiating table. It chooses to continue killing instead of ending the war, end quote. In addition to weapons, Zelensky has urged President Trump to follow through on his economic threats against Moscow and impose new sanctions to further squeeze Russia's floundering wartime economy. And that, my friends, is the PDB Afternoon Bulletin for Friday, the 29th of August. Now, if you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me at pdb@thefirsttv.com. And if you're so inclined, and I hope you are, remember to check out the latest episode of our extended weekend show, the PDB Situation Report. It hits the airwaves starting tonight at 10 p.m. on the First TV and can also be found on our critically acclaimed, well, at least by my family anyway, YouTube channel. You can find that on YouTube at President's Daily Brief. And as always, all things PDB can be found on podcast platforms everywhere. Now, for those of you in the U.S. and Canada, I hope all have a very enjoyable and relaxing Labor Day, known in other parts of the world as International Workers' Day and typically celebrated on the 1st of May. In the U.S., well, folks celebrate the worker by not working. Instead, it's a time to picnic, to barbecue, to grill out, and of course, don't forget to shop for cars and mattresses. I'm Mike Baker, and I'll be back over the weekend with the PDB Situation Report. Until then, stay informed, stay safe, stay cool. Hey, Mike Baker here. Now, you've heard me talk about that great company, Jacked Up Fitness, and their amazing all-in-one home gym, right? For home fitness, it's a game changer. But Don and his terrific team, well, they know that many people are short on time and also short on money, but they still want to get fit. So now, listen to this. You can start your fitness journey for under $60. That's right, just $60, and in just 6 minutes each day. That sounds pretty good. Introducing the all-new, and here comes the blast from the past, the all-new Shake Weight by Jacked Up Fitness. Do you remember this? 15 years ago, the original Shake Weight, well, shook the world. And now the fitness legend returns, bigger, better, and built to perform. And why now? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because science has finally caught up with the importance of explosive power and fast-twitch muscle training, something that the Shake Weight delivers in a compact, powerful way for beginners, for heavy lifters, and serious athletes alike. Look, the spring-loaded weights on each end send shock waves of energy throughout your whole upper body, forcing your muscles to contract up to some 240 times per minute. Beginners can tone and tighten their arms, their shoulders, and chest. Lifters can prime their upper bodies in between sets and get that final burn, while athletes can sharpen reaction times and build explosive power for that competitive edge. The Shake Weight is no joke. It's serious training made simple. If you're looking for a fun way to jumpstart or supercharge your fitness routine, get the all-new Shake Weight by Jacked Up Fitness. Just go to jackedupshakeweight.com. Again, that's jackedupshakeweight.com.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and leave a comment, a really positive, nice, and kind comment. That would be appreciated. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our daily updates.